evening and welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Adesa Way in Accra. I am Martin Esiedu-Date.
And I am Judith Brown. Coming up this evening.
360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
President John Dramani Mahama forms 8-member committee chaired by former Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor George Uduro, to plan a national education forum.
Also tonight, Member of Parliament for Lambusie, Professor Titus Kofi Beyo, calls for urgent improvements in pre-hospital medical emergency care in Ghana.
And also tonight, we tell you the story of a mother who is seeking refuge for her daughter with Down syndrome amid threats.
And on the international front, President Donald Trump says tariffs on Mexico and Canada may bring some pain, but it would all be worth the price.
We are live around the world on 3news.com. Let's settle for the details of our stories now, starting from the health front, where the cholera outbreak in Agona West has devastated the community, claiming the lives of at least 3 people in the past month, including 2 young children. The children aged 8 and 6 died after suffering from severe vomiting and diarrhea, despite their mother rushing them to the hospital. In addition, a pregnant woman is battling the disease, fearing for her life and that of her unborn child. Godwin Asedeba investigates the reality on the ground.
Behind me, a patient is fighting for her life. Cholera is not a disease that belongs to 2025, yet here in Agona West, it has stolen lives. The people here are not just suffering, they are dying for something as basic as good sanitation.
Fidelia Al-Hassan, not her real name, is pregnant and battling cholera.
I didn't know that it was cholera until I get here. I am pregnant, so I went to the ANC. Then they told me to go to the emergency first.
How many months pregnant are you?
Let's say 23 weeks. Because of work, so I normally buy foods outside. So maybe it could be that one.
But she's not alone. The Agona West municipality is in the grips of a deadly cholera outbreak. Over 250 suspected cases have been recorded in the past month, with 3 deaths. For Eunice Benyi, January 19, 2025 is a day she will never forget. Her sons, Emmanuel and Ebenezer, were full of life, but in just 24 hours, cholera took them both.
My children both had diarrhea, and the little one was also vomiting. Just as we were about to sleep, one of them kept asking to urinate and had a severe running stomach. By morning, my eldest had passed away at home. We rushed the little one to the hospital unconscious, but the doctors couldn't find his veins to administer treatment. He too didn't survive.
Doctors at the Agona Swedro Municipal Hospital confirmed their deaths were caused by cholera. But the nightmare is not over. Eunice's last surviving child is also fighting the infection, and she's afraid she might lose him too, despite being treated and discharged from the hospital. Yvonne Benyi, who shares a compound with Eunice, says 5 children in their household, including her own, have contracted the disease.
My son had diarrhea and was vomiting, so I quickly rushed him to the government hospital where he was being treated.
I am heading to Inkum, a community about a 40-minute drive from Swedro in Agona West, where the cholera outbreak is also taking its toll. Access to potable water remains a major challenge here, with most residents relying on untreated stream water for survival.
This is just one of the main streams that connects at a point where residents here in Nkum would come and fetch water for their menial activities. Clearly, you can tell the water is unsafe, it is untreated, but this is what residents here in Nkum depend on for survival.
We drink this water. My parents use it for cooking and even take some to the farm to quench their thirst.
We use this for bathing, drinking and washing.
A heap of refuse sits dangerously close to the streams, while open defecation is rampant, further worsening the situation. This is a breeding ground for cholera, and the community is paying the price. 2 people have already died here, and more are falling sick by the day. Environmental health officer and member of the rapid response team working with the Ghana Health Service, Mark Jojoji, has been working tirelessly with his team to contain the outbreak.
We intensify our hygiene education activities. We go from churches to schools to public gathering places to educate them on the surge of the cholera.
The cholera outbreak has intensified fear among residents, but the Deputy Director of Public Health for the Central Region continues to implement measures to curb its spread.
Since the beginning of cases being suspected in Aguna West District, the highest number we've had in a particular day was on the 4th of January 2025. That was 22. Averagely, we've been having sometimes 15, 7, 6, 5. So I would say that averagely we do like 7 or 8 cases per day. Currently, the past 3 days, the numbers have been encouraging, meaning that they are going down.
As of December 26, 2024, the cholera outbreak in parts of the country had claimed 37 lives, with confirmed cases rising from 346 to 359. The number of affected districts also increased from 44 to 46 as of December 24, 2024. Cases emerged in Aguna East and La Nkwantanang Medina in the Greater Accra region. While hospitalizations have decreased from 64 to 48 within the reporting period, the Western region remains the hardest hit, with 37 people currently receiving treatment.
For years, authorities have promised improved sanitation, safer drinking water, and better health care. But those promises remain words on paper while people are buried in shallow graves. The people of Aguna West are not asking for luxury. They are begging for survival, and if help does not come now, more will die tomorrow.
Godwin Asidiba, TV3.
Well, still on health, Member of Parliament for Lambusie, Professor Titus Kofi Beyo, is calling for urgent improvements in pre-hospital medical emergency care in Ghana. Now, in a statement to the House, Professor Titus Beyo highlighted the alarming mortality rates from conditions requiring emergency care, particularly outside hospital settings. Now, the lack of timely medical intervention has resulted in preventable fatalities. The rise in non-communicable diseases such as strokes and heart attacks further exacerbates the demand for pre-hospital care. Professor Beyo called for significant reforms to the country's emergency care framework. Member of Parliament for Lambusie, Professor Titus Kofi Beyo, is joining us with more details on this. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what immediate steps should the government take to improve pre-hospital emergency care in Ghana?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I think the most immediate steps are that we need to review the legislation, the laws and regulations regarding pre-hospital emergency care in the country. Currently, the only law governing this in workplaces like offices, factories, is the Factories Act of 1970. And the requirement there is outdated. It only requires that you have a first aid box and a first aider. current medical emergency care recommendations is beyond that. So we need to review the legislation to make the training of basic life supports mandatory. Simulation exercise for medical emergencies must be made mandatory in such public spaces. And we must provide modern equipment for emergency care like the automated external defibrillators, so that when someone's heart stops beating, we can shock the person to start the heart to start working again in the event of a heart attack. The other thing we need to look at is equipping the National Ambulance Service. The ambulance per population ratio is bad. It's not sufficient, and people, when they call for ambulance, are told to provide fuel. That is not possible in an emergency setting. The final one in terms of recommendation is mass education. And I called on the floor of Parliament for a national campaign on pre-hospital medical emergency care. When someone collapses in the house, what do? Pouring water, screaming is not part of what is recommended in medical practice. At least someone should assess if the person is alive or dead and start some CPR or basic life support. And I think these must be carried out in our movies and in public education, in educational institutions. So these are some of the reforms I'm calling for.
Well, do these reforms extend to Parliament, especially when, if you quite recall, the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, during his SONA address, had his aide-de-camp fainting behind him. And of course, there are some other members of Parliament who have called for these emergency care services in Parliament as well. What do you say to that?
Yeah, it's a welcome call. In fact, I myself recognize him. I was actually in the public gallery when the ADC to the former president collapsed. And as a medical doctor, I was appalled at the response by the paramedics and everybody in the chamber at the time. I mean, getting an unconscious person to get up and walk or help him to walk is unacceptable in modern medical practice. And when you go around the precincts of Parliament, you wouldn't find any modern medical resuscitation equipment available. You don't see a clear evacuation plan. But I thought that we should go beyond Parliament. Parliament, yes, is only one such example. But all offices and public places with high traffic must have a clear evacuation plan. The stadia must have an evacuation plan. You remember the May 9 disaster and what happened? Since then, we've never attempted a simulation to see if we have such a similar disaster, how quickly can we evacuate people without a stampede? If you go to any other public office, a similar thing must be there. And everybody who works in there needs to know of this evacuation plan and must know when someone goes unconscious what we should do. So Parliament can be the starting point, but we should think bigger for the entire nation because people have collapsed at the gym and died, which means that even in that environment, people are not sure of what to do.
Right now, you for one have said that pre-hospital emergency care is a shared responsibility. Now, who are these persons or agencies who should manage this?
So, first of all, the managers of public facilities. Every manager of a public facility has a responsibility for everybody in that building, including people who visit there temporarily for whatever business they come to do. So, if you are a head of an entity, you should be sure that the people who work in there know exactly what to do in an emergency. And this is what a law can force the people to respond. So it can be made mandatory that every quarter you should have a simulation exercise and have it documented that we have practiced this and we know what to do in an emergency. We should also have licensed trainers in basic life support by the Ministry of Health who can go around and train people. Movie industry, the creative industry, is one of our most powerful tools for education. When you watch an average Ghanaian movie and someone collapses, what you see is screaming, pouring water on the person. This is not based on any science. We should depict real medical emergencies and real medical response. So movie directors should seek proper advice on what to do in such instance so that we depict the real situation. And I think that everybody, if my driver doesn't know how to do a basic life support, I am in trouble. If the driver at the thermal station doesn't know it, all the passengers he is carrying are in trouble. So instead of rather asking that they just have a first aid box in the car, we must prove anytime they are coming to take a new license or renew their license that they know how to do basic life support.
Prof, appreciate your time with us. Professor Titus Bayo, he is the Member of Parliament for Lambusie.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has appointed an 8-member committee to organize the National Education Forum. This was part of his manifesto promise during the 2024 electioneering campaign. A statement signed by the acting spokesperson to the president, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu, said that the committee has 2 weeks to submit its report and plan. Let's take you through some of the key individuals who have made who are part of this committee. On your screens now, you can see them. We have Professor George KT Odro, who is a former Pro-Vice Chancellor, University of Cape Coast. He is going to be the chair of the 8-member committee. We also have Professor Goski Alabi, who is a member of the committee. Professor Rosemary Bosu, also a member. Samuel Ewuku, doctor, who is also a member of the committee. And then Professor Smile GC, also a member of the committee. The rest are Kofi Asare, who is a member. Kofi Asare, one of the key advocates for proper education, especially basic and junior high level education. He's a member as well. And then we finally also do have Inusa Shiraz, who completes the set of 8 members. The terms of reference given to the 8-member committee include the fact that they need to develop a theme and sub-themes to guide the stakeholder engagement. They are to identify key stakeholders in the education sector to be invited as participants. They are also expected to develop a stakeholder activity agenda with time allocations and propose a venue and dates for the forum. They are to set up a secretariat to document their activities and then also provide a budget for the National Education Forum. They are also expected to develop a comprehensive report detailing the findings and recommendations of the forum and draft a national education policy framework and propose an action plan for implementing their recommendations within 3 weeks after the forum. Consider any other issue relevant to the organization of the forum. So those are the terms of reference for the 8-member committee set up to look into how Ghana's education system can be reformed for the better. So we'll keep you posted as to the deadline that they are expected to work with. Away from that to some other stories, the acting chief executive officer of the Ghana Shapers Authority, Professor Ransford Jampo, has stated that he will remain neutral and not shy away from criticizing the government when things go wrong. According to him, his appointment is not political, but rather one that allows him to exercise his patriotic duties in serving Ghana. Speaking on hot issues, he denied claims that his appointment is a reward for his criticism of the past NPP government.
I was not part of J4's government. I criticized them. I was not part of Atamel's government. I criticized him. I was not part of President Mahamad's government. I criticized him. I was not part of Akufo-Addo's government. I criticized him. I am part of this particular government, and by being asked to serve as the acting CEO of the Ghana Shapers Authority. And I'm telling you that I would offer same criticism. This time, because I have access, I'll give it to them directly. But where the access is blocked, you would hear me coming out publicly about it. I've told you. So I do not see why you are neutral. A government feels that you can do something and do it well. And they say, even though I have the knowledge, even though I have the competence, even though I have what it takes to help develop Ghana, because I'm neutral, I will not do it. You are a nation wrecker who is not worth your salt, and you must not have a place in the nation's governance process or in the nation's existence. If I have access to the president, if I have access to my minister, if I have access to people who are able to do XYZ to improve the lot of Ghanaians, and there are issues that I find wrong, the sensible thing to do is to speak to them directly, and I'll do so.
Which means you will not openly
let me finish. Let me finish. Okay. The sensible thing to do is to try to draw their attention and say, hey, this and this and this that you are doing, are not right, and so address them. Okay? You would hear me coming out publicly, I've indicated, you hear me coming out publicly only when I feel that avenues for ventilating my concerns about what I think is wrong are blocked. And in the previous administration, they were one, blocked. Number two, you had some of their communicators coming in to tell you that, for example, it isn't that what you are saying is not true. It is true. But we have a president who does not like being told the right thing, especially coming from people outside of his government. Who can intimidate?
You have Professor Ransford Jampo speaking on hot issues with Kemini Amano. Now, away from that, the first national poll conducted by Global Info Analytics since the December 2024 elections shows a majority of Ghanaians believe the country is headed in the right direction.
According to the poll, 70% of Ghanaians believe the country is headed in the right direction compared to 22% recorded a year ago. The poll revealed that 90% of those surveyed indicated they are satisfied with the quality of appointees of President Mahama, while 68% indicated they are very satisfied or extremely satisfied. On the performance of the chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, 50% of respondents say they are satisfied with his performance, while 44% are dissatisfied, with 19% saying they are not satisfied at all with his performance. The poll further revealed that when it comes to the performance of the ranking member and the minority leader, Alexander Feyomaking, only 8% say they are extremely satisfied with his performance. 64% of respondents said they are not satisfied with Feyomaking's performance, with 44% saying they are not satisfied at all with his performance. On the question of whether respondents agree with the assertion that the vetting is being used to score point rather than to assess the suitability and competence of the nominees, the poll showed 77% of respondents agreed, while 17% disagreed and 6% did not have any opinion.
And still on issues of the vetting, the Minister-designate for Government Communications, Felix Kwachiofosu, has assured lawmakers that he will not be an agent for misinformation. Appearing before the Appointments Committee in Parliament on Friday, he emphasized that all government communications will be coordinated under the Office of the President.
Under the new structure, all government communications will be coordinated by the Office of the President, with Felix Kwachiofosu leading the initiative. Majority Leader Mahama Yariga questioned the Minister-designate for Government Communications, asking whether he would use his office as a propaganda tool.
Personally, I'm also a conviction politician. When I take positions, I consider them carefully. So once I take them, unless I'm shown verifiable evidence that I'm wrong, I stick to it. I'm not going to be an outlet for churning out disinformation or misinformation to deceive the people.
The majority leader then raised a question about why the president used his brother's private jet for his travels.
As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, when he became president, one of the first things he did was to ask about the status of the Armed Forces. In the Air Force, there's a unit called the Communications Squadron, which handles presidential aircraft. One of the ways that the MPP sought to defend what we deem to be waste of taxpayers' money on rentals of expensive jets was that the presidential aircraft was not in good shape. I think it is fair that on assumption of office, the president seeks to find out the state of the aircraft. In the last week or so, he has received an update. And that is why in the recent travel to Angola, Tanzania, and Kenya, he used the presidential aircraft. But before then, the option left to him would have been to either rent a replacement aircraft or fly commercial. Both alternatives were going to cost us money. He decided that in the very recent past, during his campaign, his brother happened to have 2 aircrafts, which he made available to him to the extent that he needed to travel. He has been using it. So using it for a week more at no cost to the taxpayer was the best option.
Will it be treated in the records of the presidency as a gift?
I would have to receive specific briefing on how to, but I'm certain, beyond any doubt, that whatever obligations arise out of any classification that is given to it will be met by the president. I don't think he has any difficulty at all doing that. But it is safe to say that it was the most viable option at the time, to the extent that the aircraft was safe and did not endanger him in any way. It didn't cost us anything. I, as a Ghanaian, would prefer that arrangement to what President Akufo-Addo was doing, to be fair. But as for the classification, I'm sure that the President has a legal counsel, so I'm sure that she can help in determining the classification. But if it is classified and any obligation arises, the President will have no difficulty meeting it.
Felix Kwachiofosu reassured the committee of his unwavering commitment to truth and accountability, emphasizing that he would not be an agent of political propaganda or misinformation.
In other news, Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Professor Ransford Jampo, has welcomed the suspension of 4 members of Parliament by the Speaker over recent chaos at the Appointments Committee. He spoke with Kemini Amano on hot issues.
I think that maybe what happened the last time in the 8th Parliament, maybe there were no sanctions. We just brushed it aside as a people. And so that's how come then some people will do this. But I'm happy to note that I'm told Speaker Bagbin has cracked a certain whip, suspending some people. And I believe, you see, when Bagbin was elected, I felt that it was a victory for parliamentary democracy. And I was surprised that people were even paranoid as to whether he was going to be elected. He had clearly acquitted and discharged his duty. So the point I'm making is that I am happy that he's taking some measures, cracked the whip, suspending some people. And I believe that going forward, given what has happened and the punishment that is being meted out to those who were found culpable, we would not continue on that tangent as Parliament. But clearly, it was unfortunate. These are honorable people who are supposed to, you could just disagree, you could just walk away and order. And you could even decide that, look, we are not leaving, but we are not allowing the processes to go on. That will still be within. But to break chairs, look, at the students' front, previously, when anytime students went on procession and demonstration, they broke chairs, they destroyed public property and all that.
Residents of Sunyani, the Bono regional capital, have expressed concern over the abandoned Sunyani Ring Road project, which has been left in a state of disrepair for years. The delay has caused significant inconvenience to commuters and raised questions about the government's commitment to infrastructure development in the region. Our reporter Claude Kumi Ebisa has the rest of the story.
The Sunyani Ring Road, a critical infrastructure project designed to ease traffic congestion and boost economic activities in the Bono regional capital, has been left unfinished for several years. The abandoned project has become a source of frustration for residents, with many expressing concerns over the poor state of the road and its impact on daily life.
It's very stressful here because we have student hostels here, the dust, and even if you look at the stores around, because the road is very dusty, people don't patronage their thing because when you go to the store, it's very dirty. So we prefer to go in the town rather than buying from these dusty sides.
Especially the forest, places who are coming. You don't know the place, so when you ask someone to bring you here, the cost involved, they will take you at least 20 cities or 30 cities before you come here. And it's a big problem to us, so we are pleading the government to help us because we are 20 here, we are suffering.
So that when it's my cars be brave faso, which is a bola car, tipper tracks,
Many different cars use the road and the dust is overwhelming. We always look for a shield to avoid the dust.
The issue took center stage during the recent vetting of the Bono Regional Minister-designate Joseph Adai Akwabwa in Parliament. Responding to questions from the appointment committee, the minister-designate acknowledged the challenges posed by the abandoned project. He assured residents that fixing the Sunyani Ring Road would be a top priority during his tenure.
I have my house situated at Old Abisim, and I always pride that road to my house. So I know the difficulties people living around that area is going through. Now, if I'm giving the nod, I will sit with the agencies responsible for construction of roads and link up with the ministry. We will look at the contract and see the reason why the roads have been abandoned, and then see how we are going to construct the road. It is dear to my heart.
The assurance from the minister-designate has been met with cautious optimism by residents.
People who sell at the roadside, and if these roads should be done, it will really help those people. I mean, it will limit the illness that is pertained with that of the road. So I think that thing that he has to come and do the road is very, very good thing. So we are pleading on him to come and do the road for us.
Residents of Sunyani are hopeful that the Sunyani Ring Road will finally be completed, bringing much needed relief.
To one of our headline stories, and a desperate mother is seeking refuge for her daughter who has Down syndrome and developmental problems. Now, this is because some relatives, community members, and an oracle are seeking to end the life of the child because they believe she is not a human being. Portia Gaba reports the heart-wrenching story is a stark reminder of the stigma and superstition surrounding disabilities in Ghana.
When Mercy, not her real name, gave birth to her daughter, healthcare professionals told her that the baby was different.
The
doctor told me to be extra cautious with my child in public.
They claim my daughter is a river baby and that they'll kill her. But society and relatives posed the greatest threat. A man met me and asked if I had delivered. I said yes. He asked if my husband's grandmother had died. I said yes. He said my daughter is the reincarnation of an old woman and that I must prepare a concussion to bath her. With nowhere to turn to, Mercy sought refuge with her pastor.
A week ago, the mother came to me crying that this is the issue that is confronting her, that they say the child is not a human being. So they will do everything to eliminate the child. How are they going to eliminate the child? So if they are going to use juju or something, it will not happen because we pray that that thing will not happen. So I told her that, or if they will poison or something, then you should make sure that the child shouldn't go to those who are saying that they will eliminate the child. So I left and I came home. So in the night around 8 o'clock, the girl called me again to inform me that they have called her again, informing her about what they will do to the child. The thing prompted me. I said, no, this thing cannot happen. So I called my area head, and a friend gave Madam Portia number to me. If I call her, maybe a help will come from to rescue or to save the child.
Her husband is at his wit's end, unsure of how to protect their child.
To me, no, me problem biya wa bofano. Bando say when Jim Phoebe on the minkasa.
I don't think she has a problem. We are only worried she does not talk. I will not allow my family to harm her.
By family, ne kase umbeye abofran bibi with that minorities. I don't think it can be possible.
Agnes Teko Nyamite is the executive director of Down Syndrome Ghana.
It is very, very sad. Children with Down syndrome are human beings just like you and I. They are also wonderfully and carefully made by the God who created you and I. My daughter Toda, who will be 14 years in March, she also has Down syndrome. When I gave birth to Toda, it was the same with her father. So Toda will be 14 years. She has never met her father. So the stigma is real.
This is not an isolated incident. More parents who have children with special needs keep reporting threats by either relatives or some members of society to kill their wards. Last week, we reported on a mother who fled her hometown after relatives threatened to kill her daughter born without legs. The stigma is also a concern. The parents are calling for urgent intervention, fearing that their daughter's life is in imminent danger as the oracle and their relatives could discover their whereabouts to harm their child.
She needs to be protected. I'm pleading with government that there should be shelter for these children, so that when somebody hears something like this, you know where to place the child immediately.
If there's any need, medical support or any need for the child to get proper care, so that the family will believe or will come to the notice to the family that the child is not something else, but is a human being.
Authorities must take immediate action to enforce laws protecting the rights of children with disabilities. Education and awareness campaigns are also crucial in changing societal attitudes. Having a child with special needs is not a curse. Portia Gabo, TV3 News.
The Upper East Regional Minister Donatus Akamugri Atanga has assured his constituents and his region to work closely with the feuding factions in the Boko resurgence to restore lasting peace in the area. Since its resurgence in 2021, the conflict has claimed more than 100 lives and properties running into thousands of Ghana cedis. Addressing the media in Bolgatanga, the minister said he would commence peace negotiation talks with the factions using stakeholders including state security agencies and traditional authorities. And on your screens are images of his arrival in the region when he completed his vetting, awaiting his swearing in by President John Dramani Mahama, that is if Parliament gives him the approval. But let's speak to our correspondent in the region, Castro Senyala, who's joined us via Zoom regarding the promise made by the incoming minister. Castro, good evening. Thank you for your time. The Boko resurgence, conflict and its attendant issues is a big issue that has affected the socio-economic lives of people in the area. Tell us more about what exactly the minister has said and his proposal to addressing this challenge.
Right, Martin. First of all, the minister took note of the fact that the prolonged conflict was having dire consequences on the socio-economic activities of the people, and that was, adversely affecting their way of lives. For instance, people, especially women, were not able to engage in trading to take care of their families, and also the issue of the fact that children could not go to school and access to healthcare delivery was also a problem, especially in the peaks of the conflict or the fighting. Now, he says that he would take a look at the roadmap that has already been put in place by President Mahama, first of all, to see where he can fit in as a regional minister, to see where he can take actions within his ministerial role as the head of the region. He also says that aside from that, he would also take into consideration the fact that some elements are sort of trying to make the conflict turn a different way. And so he would work with stakeholders such as the chiefs and that of the state security agencies to arrest some of these people who would be causing trouble, so that once that is done and the issue of the attacks on the highways and all the other places within Boko and the exploitation of the conflict is concerned, is arrested, then he goes into the negotiation table where he sits with leadership of the two feuding factions. And when he says that, he means leadership of the two tribes that are fighting each other in Boko. He says that he would do that using very neutral people and experts who have no hands whatsoever or who have no interest whatsoever in the conflict, so that he's able to bring the situation under control. He's very optimistic that the chiefs and people and other stakeholders in the region would give him the support he needs to succeed, because Boko and its issues, especially with the conflict at hand, is something that, if we don't take time, would mar the progress and development of the region. Let's listen to what he said when he arrived to a mammoth crowd of residents and party supporters of the governing National Democratic Congress.
The greatest factor for the poverty levels in Upper East region can be attributed to this conflict, because when there's a conflict, then the economic activities will come to standstill, and nobody will agree to invest in your area. So even the fact that I'm looking at these laudable projects, if the insecurity in the region is very high, nobody's ready to come. And so my first thing that I would do is to study the roadmap that has been established by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama on his 8th day in office, when he visited the two leaders of the warring factions.
Well, Castro, thank you very much. We just heard the regional minister designate. Thank you for keeping tabs on development within that enclave, and subsequently we would also let the viewers know how all of that is playing out. Still watching News 360 on TV3. Take us on a break.
We'll go for a short break. We'll be back with more news. Do stay with us.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, Soft Care always stays with you. New Soft Care Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey. Soft Care. Protect your leap.
Welcome back. You're still watching News 360. Now, Grace Mobility Ghana has introduced its first electric vehicles. The company says it is committed to driving a sustainable future, aiming to address both environmental and economic challenges.
Grace Mobility Ghana stands at the forefront of transforming transportation in Ghana as one of the country's first fully electric vehicle dealerships. The company offers a diverse range of electric vehicles from leading brands such as Wuling, Jimpen and Honki. Chief Executive Officer of Grace Mobility Ghana, Subi Akkad, highlighted the importance of the vehicles.
The nice thing about it is that those cars can charge as well on solar. Of course, they can charge on solar, but not only on solar. The nice thing about them that with the slow charging, they can charge anywhere there is a plug. Is to take the first step about introducing e-mobility and electric vehicles and scooters into Ghana. Whatever the government wants us to get into partnership with them, we are open to every suggestion.
The Chief Executive Officer of Grace Mobility International, Omar Shala, stated that the company aims to provide affordable vehicles to Ghanaians.
The strategy we have as far as product is to have, as you see, a very diversified product range. So we start from motorcycles to tricycles all the way to high-end cars. And the idea behind this is to have something for every need and every requirement and every budget, mostly. Of course, now, a big portion of the final cost that the consumer will pay is taxes. So that's why we are counting on the forward thinking of the leadership in Ghana that are excited about this, as you saw from the video, that eventually they will help us in reducing this cost.
Electric vehicles will reduce the emission of harmful gases from vehicles into the atmosphere and improve environmental conditions.
Absa Bank Ghana has commissioned a mechanized borehole for the people of Dodowa in the Greater Accra region. The project is part of the bank's corporate social responsibility.
On behalf of Absa, we duly commissioned this project.
For many residents of Dodowa, access to clean drinking water has been a challenge, but thanks to Absa Bank Ghana, that burden is being eased with the commissioning of a fully mechanized borehole for the community. At the commissioning ceremony, Managing Director for Absa Bank Ghana, Edward Nabotre, emphasized the bank's dedication to making a meaningful impact in the communities it serves.
As we commissioned this borehole today, it is one of 10 others that we are commissioning across the entire country. And I think that the pledge that we can give to you, that this is the beginning of a partnership between ourselves and you. This cannot be the end. There would be other areas where we would find ways to help. And you can trust that the partnership with Absa is on a good note.
The Assemblyman for Apekong electoral area, Daniel Yao Kaiko, expressed appreciation for the initiative.
I may thank APSA for this very project that they did for the community. We were looking for this for a long time because part of my community here, it's very difficult for us to get water here. So when we had this borehole over here, the people will appreciate it very well and we may use it wisely so that it will take long before anything else get involved. So this one, I'll make sure all the time I'll be here and see how things are going so that when we need any maintenance, I'll try so that we.
Dennis Ajano Nate, who represented the MP for Shai Osudoku, Linda Oklo, thanked APSA Bank Ghana for the initiative and encouraged more organizations to support community development projects. With this project, residents of Dodowa can now enjoy improved access to clean water, easing their daily struggles. For the people of Dodowa, this borehole is more than just a water source, it's a lifeline.
Copa, a leading provider of affordable smartphones, has officially launched the X-Series phone. The X-Series is designed to make high-quality smartphones more accessible to all.
The Copa X-Series phone was unveiled at the company's headquarters in Spintex, Accra, with industry stakeholders and customers in attendance. The device boasts an impressive array of features, including a high-resolution camera, long-lasting battery, sleek design, affordable pricing, and additional benefits like health insurance. The general manager for Copa Ghana, Chioma Agugu, emphasized the company's commitment to bridging the digital divide in Ghana and across Africa.
What we do is we provide mobile phone devices with daily installments for our customers, allowing the everyday earner access to a smartphone, access to the digital economy, access to financial inclusion as well. Remain innovative. We're known for being inclusive, for being flexible and being fair.
She also highlighted some of the benefits that come with the Copa X series.
You're not just getting a smartphone, you're getting a phone that is embedded with medical health insurance, with life insurance. You also have access to free data, up to 12 GB over a 12-month period. And if you happen to break your screen during the tenure of your loan, you actually get one replacement at a subsidized rate with Copa. So no other product in the market offers you that.
Let's celebrate.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. We're live around the world on 3news.com. We'll be happy to hear many more of the thoughts you have on the stories we've brought to you this evening. Time now, though, for the latest in the world of sports.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. Now on to our first story. Asante Kotoko has confirmed that one of their fans has been stabbed to death following violent clashes during their Ghana Premier League Matchday 19 fixture against Nswatreman FC. In an official statement, the club revealed that the supporters sustained fatal injuries during the chaos and later passed away at Sunyani Hospital. Our Kumasi-based reporter, that is Richard the Champion, reports the entire incident.
There was a fight ongoing with the supporters, and outside the inner perimeter, Asante Kotoko reports that one of their popular supporters, Nana Pole, was stabbed. The entire Asante Kotoko team, after the game, visited the Sunyani Government Hospital, where their popular supporter had been taken to. Upon arrival, Asante Kotoko reports that they were told by the medical team of the hospital that Nana Pole could not make it. Now let me report that the IMC chairman of Asante Kotoko, Nana Pinkra Akwesiewua, decided to personally break the news of the demise of their supporter to the family before officially Kotoko will release their flyer on that particular incident.
Now let's move on to the Premier League, where Arsenal moved to within 6 points of league leaders Liverpool by thrashing Manchester City by 5-1 at the Emirates Stadium. City gifted their opponents and we have
a mistake by Kanji, Kai Havertz to Martin Odegaard! Mikel Arteta will feel that tide is turning. Arsenal.
Hoga was fractious as the Ghanaian came equipped with all the thrash talk, promising to knock out the Barnsley man in brutal fashion. He did his way, it best to stay true to his word, coming out of the traps early in the first round by Simpson. But let's move on to the world of basketball, where the Los Angeles Lakers beat the New York Knicks on Saturday. And the Lakers are sending Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round draft pick to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris in a 3-team deal that also includes the Utah Jazz. Dallas officially announced the trade on Sunday morning, following reports on Saturday night after there was no prior indication that either team was out looking to move out an all-star. NBA expert Adam Taylor has been closely following the situation and broke it down for us. Now let's listen to Adam Taylor as he broke down this trade.
Until this trade was made, they had LeBron James, who is 40, and Anthony Davis, who is 31. Those two guys were the stars for the Lakers. By moving on from Davis and bringing in Doncic, who's 25, so you're saving 6 years there, you're actually giving yourself a bigger window. What this means now is there's a lot of question marks about how LeBron James stays with if he stays with the Lakers, how they build around Luka. Dallas, on the other hand, have gone in win now mode. So they made it to the NBA Finals last season, fell short against the Boston Celtics. They went out and acquired Klay Thompson to give them additional floor spacing, as that was an issue for them. Now they've said, right, we feel like Kyrie Irving gives us enough ball handling, playmaking, and shot making that we can move on from Luka, and they bring in one of the best defensive big men in the NBA.
That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. Over to you, Judith.
Let's give you all the updates on the international front.
We begin from the United States, where President Donald Trump, in a post on social media, Truth Social, says tariffs on Mexico and Canada may bring some pain, but it will all be worth the price. Canada and Mexico say they will bring a retaliatory tariff after the U.S. imposes 25% import tax on goods from the two countries, as well as 10% tax on China. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau unveiled matching 25% tariffs on 155 billion Canadian dollars worth of U.S. goods. He says tariffs are not the best way we can work together. Meanwhile, Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum says she will also introduce retaliatory measures. China says it will implement corresponding countermeasures and plans to file a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization. The tariffs will come into effect from midnight on Tuesday, which Trump says are in response to concerns around illegal immigration and drug trafficking. To Africa and US, warplanes have targeted Islamic State affiliates in Somalia, hitting what officials describe as high-ranking operatives in the terror group's mountainous stronghold. US President Donald Trump announced the precision strike on social media, describing the main target as a senior ISIS attack planner and other terrorists he recruited and led. A separate statement from U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the strikes targeted an area in Somalia's Golis Mountains and further degrades ISIS's ability to plot and conduct terrorist attacks threatening U.S. citizens, our partners and innocent civilians. The Islamic State, also known as IS or Daesh, has increasingly played a key role in the terror group's operations in Africa and beyond. Officials from Somalia's semi-autonomous Puntland region thanked the U.S. on social media, calling the operation a success. And finally to the Middle East now, where Syria's interim president made his first trip abroad Sunday, traveling to Saudi Arabia in a move likely trying to signal Damascus shift away from Iran as its main regional ally. Ahmad al-Sharaa, who was once aligned with Al-Qaeda, landed in Riyadh alongside his government's foreign minister, Assad al-Shaibani. Saudi Arabia has been among the Arab nations that poured money to insurgents groups that tried to topple President Bashar al-Assad after Syria's 2011 Arab Spring protests turned into a bloody crackdown. However, eight groups found themselves beaten back as Assad, supported by Iran and Russia, fought the war into a stalemate in Syria. That changed with the December lightning offensive led by al-Shara's Hayat Tahrir al-Sham.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Esiedudate.
And I am Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you this evening. Do enjoy the rest of the night.